That's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
Hello everybody, recording this same day as my Halo Wars 2 video, because I did that in like the span of an hour or two. Here we have, because I didn't actually play the game, I just watched some cutscenes. I apologize to tell you, I'm not an RTS guy. But today we have Shadows Over Reach by Troy Denning. It's fine. This takes place a year after Halo 5. And again, much like Halo Wars 2, the created Cortana threat is very much in the background. Even though this is meant to be the entire galaxy in peril, it again remains entirely in the background. The Banished, again, are the big factor here. They are the big threat. And alongside the Banished, we have a team-up, which I don't think works, but I'll get into that in spoilers. But we have the Keepers of the One Freedom, who were introduced in Last Light by Troy Denning and showed up in Retribution. They are here again in Shadows Over Reach, having joined up with the Banished. Despite the fact that the Banished are atheists and the Keepers of One Freedom are not. But they've joined forces. So there's that. So we got Castor and Aatrox and Eshram, because we're heading toward Halo Infinite now. All these characters. And of course we got Master Chief and all of Blue Team again on Reach, which we haven't been to in a very long time. So we get to see it again. That's, still recovering from everything that happened back during the Covenant War. And this story is very much, in the shortest way, about Master Chief's grief and his responsibilities moving forward. That makes it sound much more deeper than it is, but this is a very by the numbers, very basic Halo story. It's nothing to write home about. The most interesting portions of this are the Banished and the Keeper of the One Freedom plot points. Basically anything that doesn't have to do with the humans. It's nice to see Fred Kelly and Linda. It's nice to see Master Chief. But by and large, it's a pretty whatever story when it comes to them. But we do have Aatrox stuff in here. We do have portals to the Ark and stuff because we got to bring Aatrox back and get everything ready for Infinite. So, more so than anything, as we're nearing the end, it starts to feel like less of an expanded universe. And of trying to make this Halo world vast and more of a bunch of, hey, Infinite's coming out, right? Which I get is kind of marketing 101, but usually a little bit more subtle about it, right? But all these stories just feel like, hey, Halo Infinite is coming. Halo Infinite is coming. You ready? Halo Infinite is coming. And it's alright. I really don't have anything to write home about. There's not been a single Troy Denning Halo book that I haven't enjoyed. I think my favorite so far is still Silent Storm, because it does the most actual character work with John. But I don't think there's anything to really write home about either. But it was fine. And that's really all I have to say about it. Perfectly adequate. It does give us some information that may be important to Halo Infinite, if you care. Which Halo Infinite is an old game by now, too. It's like 3 years old by this point. But, yeah. They're on a mission. They gotta be on the down low. They can't cause too much noise, or Cortana will find out. The Guardians will find out. Then again, of course, Halo Wars 2, very huge stuff going on. Cortana didn't notice till the very end, so I don't know. But that's where we're at. So If I sound like I'm being negative, I'm not meaning to. You know, I've read every single one of Troy Denning's books in the Halo Expanded Universe. So far, I got 2 left. I've read all of his stuff in Star Wars, and I do plan on reading his D&D stuff at some point. But I'm a fan. But there's just not much in these, like, they're very Halo. Like, they feel like Halo, they definitely do. They got enough action, the characters are acted exactly like I would expect them to, but there's also just not much here to really dissect or get into. So, yeah. I'm getting to spoilers. If you don't want that, you can go. But, as I said, perfectly fine story. If you wanted to read some stories leading up to Infinite, this is one for you. I'm getting spoilers now. If you don't want that, there's the door. So, again, I just find it so disappointing. Because Bad Blood is the only story that actually has anything to do with the created conflict. And every story after that goes out of their way to basically ignore it as much as possible. We do have Chief still struggling with Halo 5 and Cortana, as he reminisces about her and everything and what's gone down, and he's still feeling sadness over that. What is nice for Blue Team, that includes Master Chief and all of his friends, is because the Created are in control of everything, even though we don't really see that, but because Cortana has the galaxy in an iron fist. You know, they kind of went AWOL in Halo 5. You know, they kind of went off and did their own thing. They should have gotten in trouble with the government, but because everything's in such peril, they're basically getting off scot-free. So they're no longer in trouble. Because they're more useful than to be locked up. But yeah, so apparently, in some 6-month gap, the Keepers of the One Freedom joined up with the Banished. So that they could have, you know, more numbers. Now, while the story kind of justifies it by the end because there was a betrayal, I also am like, does that really work, though? Because the Keepers of One Freedom, one, they include humans, which the Banished don't. While they may be atheistic, and they don't believe in the Great Journey, they still hate humans because of the war. They don't allow humans. Keepers of One Freedom do. They're also extremely religious. So you would think that there'd be some sort of clash there, which eventually there is. But the fact that they lasted 6 months together, I just don't buy it. Logically, I understand that that's perfectly, like, there's a way to make that work, but they didn't justify it in the story, to me. So, I mean, I know that Castor used to work with Atriox, like, during the Covenant War, but I still don't buy the fact that they would team up at this point in time. And I don't feel like the story did anything to really prove that to me. That being said, the interactions and dialogue between them are the most interesting part of the book, absolutely. We also have Escharum literally showing up in this story because, again, Halo Infinite's coming, and because Atriox is the main villain, it's basically Escharum, so this is kind of your introduction to him if you're going in chronological order. But yeah, there's a portal on Reach, which is the big thing, the big MacGuffin of this plot, because the portal will connect to Halo Wars 2, will connect to the Ark, and connect to the ring and everything, and Atriox is trying to get back because he's stranded on the Ark right now. So that's kind of like the whole thing going on with this plot. There's also a weird comment that one of the Spartans makes. I don't know if it's John or Fred. Somebody says something about Spartan 2 thing being classified still. Is it? Wasn't the whole thing, like with the Karen Travis books, that people found out? Isn't it like public knowledge now that happened? But it like just doesn't matter anymore? Or am I just completely stupid? Somebody can let me know in the comment section, but that makes literally no sense to me. I mean, it's a little thing, it doesn't really matter for this story, but whatever. Hold on. Sorry. We do have a nice little moment with Halsey because she has guilt over everything with the Spartan 2s and with Cortana. Like, she feels like, I mean, she's happy with her Spartan 2s. That's always the thing with Halsey, but she does still feel regret even after all this time. And the Cortana, she's like, I also created Cortana, much like I created Spartan 2s. And now she's, doing all this stuff. So a lot of this is on me. We do get to see Lasky and Palmer for a second, which is nice. Not that they really matter to this plot at all, but I like seeing them, so it was nice to see them. John's new responsibility. So John, this slightly connects, I think, to Oblivion, Halo Oblivion of all things, by Troy Denning, because this is basically the conclusion to the Master Chief trilogy that Troy Denning was writing, with Silent Storm, and Oblivion, which all took place during the Covenant War. And then also kind of like an sequel in between Halo Last Light, Halo Retribution, and Divine Wind, which kind of go as a trilogy because that focuses all on the Ferret team. But in between that is this story, because it has Castor, who's from those books, and everything, and the Ferret team even shows up at the end of it, at this story. Along with Dare, which I believe is Veronica Dare, like Buck's girlfriend, so that's cool. Or wife now, sorry. By the end of Bad Blood, they got married, so his wife. Which was also a cool little cameo. She didn't do anything except show up and be like, hey, but still cool nonetheless. But there's these kids who I guess became soldiers, but they're from Oblivion, I think. I'm almost certain about that. But regardless, John kind of has this inner thought process of, most of the Spartan 2s are dead. We got a few left. We got a bunch of Spartan 3s and a bunch of Spartan 4s. As much as Halsey doesn't like them because they're not as superior to us or whatever that means, I don't really buy that. But they make up for it in sheer number. And also, like, back during the Covenant War, it wasn't just me. Sergeant Johnson was a little bit enhanced, but he was just a normal guy, basically. Or Miranda Keyes or Jacob Keyes. It was these people who helped save the day, too. Normal soldiers. So a bunch of Spartan 4s are going to get the work done, too. They'll try their best, at least. And Master Chief's like, one of these days I'm going to die. I'm going to get hit by something too hard and not get back up. Or I may simply just die of old age. But, I got to start thinking about the next generation. So, think about his responsibility as, he never really thought about it before, how he's kind of this icon, this idol to, like, everyone. Because he helped save the world during the original trilogy. So it's up to him to set, like, a sort of example or whatever. So, again, kind of basic, but I mean, I guess it was nice, I suppose, but it's really, like, the biggest, like, revelation character beat that comes out of it for Master Chief, which I guess if I was being a writer, because I don't think this necessarily justifies anything, but if you want to be like, well, maybe that's why he gives that whole speech to the pilot guy in Infinite, because he's trying to become more of a leader now, even though he's been a leader, so I don't know. But that's just me being charitable, but whatever. And of course, at the end, tensions have been rising with the Banished, and Castor and his factions of the Keepers of One Freedom kind of betray Atriox because they want to activate the ring, because they want to go on the Great Journey, because they still believe in the Great Journey, or Atriox doesn't, and it kind of makes the whole Cataclysm thing, so that way Divine Wind can have the Ferret team and whatever else stop Castor, basically. And that is the end of Shadows Over Reach. I know there's some little things, like, because I know, I watch Hidden Xperia, and he's like a huge Halo guy, and he mentions, like, all these, like, new, like, people, these new things, these new weapons, and all this stuff that I don't care about whatsoever. So, plot-wise, it's very thin to me, which is fine, I guess. But, like, I wouldn't recommend this to someone unless they're, diehard Halo fan and have to read everything, or they want some sort of primer before Halo Infinite. But if you haven't read Retribution and Last Light, you're not going to know who Castor is, so it's like you have to read a bunch of other books to fully be invested, so I can't even recommend it as, like, a one-off. But Yeah, it's fine. Honestly, I'm so frustrated by this portion of era, Halo 5 onward, because I even appreciate a lot more of Halo 5 than I did when it first came out. And it actually kind of is, I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of actively pissing me off how much they expand the universe. Because you know what? It makes sense. It makes sense, like, in the games, because people are so pissed off at it, just like kind of go over it. But in the novels, you have a way to kind of flesh that out and explain it, make it work better. But instead, in both novel and game, they just flat out ignore it because a bunch of people hated it. I would much rather they have had stuck to their guns, stuck to their decision, and just justify it. Have some balls. Again, it doesn't matter now, they're not in charge. But it's like, why am I even paying for these? Why am I even wasting my time when I know that none of it ultimately matters? This is the problem with tie-in media. Because then you have things like this happen. I'm gonna finish it. I only have 5 books left, or 4 books left now. But it's just the principle of it all. I don't know. If you enjoyed this book, let me know what you thought in the comment section below. I didn't hate it, I want to say. I may sound very negative. I enjoyed it enough. But it's a little formulaic, and I'm sick of the fact that I know that the creative plot, which I actually enjoyed a lot more this time around, doesn't matter. But up next, we have Divine Wind, also by Troy Denning, and then Outcasts by Troy Denning. And that'll be it, as of this moment, at least I'm recording, of Troy Denning's contributions to Halo. Until next time, guys. Let's finish the fight. Bye-bye.